What if the real reason you're attracted to someone has nothing to do with their looks, personality, or even what they say? Sounds unbelievable, right? But here's the kicker. It's all tied to a psychological trick your brain plays on you, one that could have you falling for someone for reasons you'd never guess. This trick is called the misattribution of arousal, and once it happens, you might feel an intense attraction, but not because of who they are. Now, think about this. What do Pennywise, spicy chili, and Megan Fox all have in common? You might be asking, how could these things possibly be related? Stick with me, and by the end of this video, I'll show you exactly how these seemingly random things are connected to stronger attraction and why it's so much more than just love at first sight.
Attraction. It's one of the most intense emotions we experience. But the truth is, it's not as straightforward as we often believe. Psychologists have discovered something called the misattribution of arousal, a psychological theory that explains why we sometimes mislabel our feelings. The feeling of attraction you think you're having for someone might actually be caused by something else entirely, something like fear, excitement, or even physical exertion, which is all backed by science. In the world of psychology, there's a theory called the two-factor theory of emotion, proposed by psychologists named Stanley Schachter and Jerome Singer back in 1962. This theory explains how emotions are created. It's pretty simple. First, you experience a physiological response. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your breath quickens. That's step one. Then, your brain steps in and says, what's causing this? The second step is where things get interesting. Your brain gives that feeling a label, which could be anything from I'm excited to I'm in love to I'm nervous. But here is the thing. The brain doesn't always get it right. Sometimes it mistakes one emotion for another, like when you feel adrenaline rush through your body, maybe because you're on a roller coaster, or you're watching a horror movie, or heck, because you're having a conversation with someone you're interested in. You might feel butterflies, right? But those butterflies might actually be a misattribution. Your body is physically responding to excitement, fear, or arousal, but your brain tags it as romantic attraction when it's really not. You might think you're experiencing romantic attraction, but what you're really feeling is the excitement from the high-energy situation you're in, like a scary movie or a thrilling event. You're associating that feeling with the person next to you, when really it's just the environment making your body react this way. Let's talk a little about the research carried out by Donald Dutton and Arthur Aaron. In their study, they had two groups of men walk across two different bridges. One was a stable, low bridge, safe and calm. The other was a high, shaky suspension bridge, swaying over a 230-foot drop. The idea was to get those men's adrenaline pumping. After crossing the bridges, they sent a woman to approach each man. Mind you, it was the same woman. She asked them a few questions and casually handed her phone number to them. The results were shocking. The men who crossed the shaky, scary bridge were far more likely to call her afterward. They also described her in a much more romantic and passionate way when they were asked questions later on. Why, you may ask? It turns out the men on the shaky bridge were experiencing a rush of adrenaline from fear and excitement, but their brains misinterpreted that arousal, labeling it as attraction to the woman. This phenomenon is the very essence of the misattribution of arousal theory. What I'm trying to say is that adrenaline, whether it's from fear or excitement, can heighten feelings of attraction, even though those feelings may not actually be based on the person in front of you. This study is a perfect example of how our bodies react physiologically and how we sometimes mislabel those feelings as romantic attraction. There's a myth we need to bust, the risk-taker problem. People often assume that men who are more likely to engage in risky activities, like crossing that shaky bridge, are also more likely to misattribute their arousal as attraction. But the research disproves this. Dutton and Aaron even controlled for this by ensuring all participants were similar in personality. The results showed that it wasn't just about being a risk-taker, it was about the adrenaline rush. And another misconception, the damsel in distress theory. Some people think the attraction was about the men feeling protective of the woman on the bridge, but that theory doesn't hold water either. In the study, when the male interviewer was used instead of the female, the results were the same. The attraction wasn't about rescuing or protecting, it was about the shared experience of heightened arousal. To put it simply, the theory of misattribution of arousal is supported by research after research. Whether it's from fear, excitement, or physical exertion, high levels of arousal can amplify attraction. Now let's break this down into some real-life examples you can relate to. Megan Fox, Chili, and Pennywise. What could these three things possibly have in common when it comes to attraction? Well, it turns out a lot more than you might think. They all create adrenaline, that surge of energy that plays a huge role in attraction, and they do it in different ways. Megan Fox is an iconic figure when it comes to attraction, right? But it's not just her beauty and body that made her insanely unforgettable. It's the context in which most guys first saw her. Megan Fox became a major crush for many, especially in Transformers, where she appeared during an adrenaline-charged, high-action, fast-paced movie. And here's the twist. Guys weren't just attracted to her because of her looks. They were watching her while their brains were already high on adrenaline from explosions, car chases, and chaos. That's why she became so memorable to so many men. Their brains linked her image with that adrenaline rush. It's pretty similar to the rush you feel when you're excited or nervous around someone. Have you ever eaten something so spicy that your heart starts racing, your cheeks flush, and you start to sweat so much? So if you're on a date and you're both eating spicy food, it's no surprise that you might both feel a little more into each other afterward. But again, that's adrenaline doing its thing, not your heart falling head over heels in love. Know the difference. Let's say you're watching a horror movie, maybe It with the terrifying clown Pennywise. Your heart races, you grip the edge of your seat, your palms sweat. It's not just because you're watching a movie. Your body's in fight or flight mode, pumping adrenaline through your veins. But here's the kicker. You might also be feeling drawn to the person sitting next to you on the couch. Why? Because your brain is misattributing that fear and adrenaline as attraction. In reality, it's just your body reacting to the tension in the movie. But you can see how this could be mistaken for something else, right? So now you're probably thinking, okay, so does that mean I should go bungee jumping on every date to increase attraction? Not exactly. You can actually use it to your advantage. By creating adrenaline-fueled situations like watching a scary movie, eating something spicy, or doing something thrilling together with your partner can increase the chances of feeling that spark of attraction. It's not magic, it's science. So how does this affect you? The next time you're feeling that overwhelming attraction, ask yourself, is it the person or is it the situation? Your brain might be mixing up excitement, fear, and real attraction. And that's where misattribution comes into play. You think it's love, but it could just be the adrenaline talking, doing its thing. Now, I'm not saying this will replace genuine emotional connection, but understanding it can help you make better decisions, not just about who you feel attracted to, but about how to build stronger connections with people. It's about making intentional choices in your interactions, not letting your body's misinterpretations dictate your emotions. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite adrenaline-filled experience? Or is there something else you're curious about that you'd like me to cover in the next video? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more insightful content.